Hi everyone, it's Mr. Cohen here, and I'm going to show you how to make some beats on GarageBand. So first, just double check that the app is updated and ready to go for you. And when you have that ready, tap on the icon to open the app. This is going to bring you to your file menu, and if you've used the app before, you're going to see some of your previous projects. Regardless, create a new song with the plus sign. From here, move through the instrument wheel to find Smart Drums. The Smart Drums feature is really easy to use and allows you to create a beat really without much thinking at all. Over on the right, you have instruments that you can drag into the grid, and the lower in the grid that you place the instrument, the quieter the sound will be. If you bring it up to the top, it will be louder, and over to the left, the pattern the instrument will play will be more simple, and then if you drag it to the right, it will be more complex. So this position would be the loudest and most complex, and this would be the quietest and most simple. You can play around with the positioning of instruments and quickly make a beat that sounds really good. From here, you can kind of guess and check with patterns and volume to find what works for you. You can hit the power button on the left to stop the beat. Additionally, you can actually change the sound of your drum machine by tapping the square in the top left corner. I currently have the hip-hop drum machine working, but I could change that to be classic or something more acoustic based like a vintage kit. When you do this, it will get rid of the pattern you made, so that's important to remember. Another thing that you can do is tap the die at the bottom left corner, and that will actually randomize a beat. If you're feeling stuck, that could be a really easy way to get started. When you're ready to record your beat that you've made in Smart Drums, all you need to do is hit the red circle at the top of the screen. When you're done recording, the bar at the top will turn green, and you'll know it has completed. Once you have something recorded, all you need to do is click on the icon at the top left corner with the rectangles. This is called the tracking button, and it brings you to the main screen of the software where you can see everything that's in your project. If you'd rather have a little bit more customization to your drums, you can use what's called the beat sequencer. From here, we see a fancy grid with 16 columns or notes that we will be able to input. Long story short, each column or box represents a 16th note. So if I were to highlight every 4 boxes, we would be at quarter notes. If I lit up every other box, the rhythm would be moving to 8th notes, and now if I highlight all of them in a row, it will be 16th notes. I can hit the power button at the bottom to stop it. To create a simple beat that we can work from, I'm going to build what's called the standard rock beat, where we have 8th notes on our hi-hat, our kick drum or our bass drum on beats 1 and 3, and our snare drum on 2 and 4. Take a listen. That's probably pretty familiar to you. Similar to Smart Drums, I can actually change the sound that I'm working with. Currently, I have it as the Modern 808, which is a famous type of electronic drum kit. I'm going to hit play and cycle through some different sounds so you can hear the changes. you can take your own pace to find a drum kit that works for you. Additionally, I can change the velocity or the volume of individual notes by highlighting that function and changing the input across my grid. I can also do things like adding a note repeat, which is something that's really common or familiar in trap hip-hop beats. Take a listen to what happens with my hi-hat here if I hit play. To change this, I'm just clicking on an individual note and then dragging up or down. You'll notice that one note is the bottom, and you can go all the way up to 8 notes. Take a listen to what 8 notes sounds like. So the more notes in the note repeat, the more dense the sound's going to be. I can also change the chance of the individual note, which means that for every time the beat loops around, it can be assigned a certain percentage. This can add a level of organicness or humanness to the beat because it's not always going to sound exactly the same. So if I decrease my chance down to 1%, you'll probably notice that the ones with lower probability are not going to show up as often. So in theory, it would take 100 times through the beat for that individual note to show up, unless I bring it back up to 100. Similar to smart drums, you have a randomizer down at the bottom, the little die. And there are some presets that you can open up and try out. Until you find something that you like. Remember, once you have a beat that you enjoy and you want to record it into your project, all you need to do is hit the red circle. When you're done recording, you can hit the tracking button and see what you've added into your project. So for my example project here, I already built a beat in Beat Sequencer. You can check it out. Let's take a listen for a second. And you get the idea. So I'm going to go back to my tracking button here. And when you're ready to add in another layer to your beat, the next step would probably be good to check out Apple loops. Up at the top right corner, there's a little loop-de-loop, and essentially Apple loops are just pre-recorded sound files that you can drag right into your project, and a lot of the thinking and work is done for you, and it really gives the artist an opportunity to blend sounds that work really well together. So I can actually hit play on my project and then open up loops, and from there I can put different sounds over top and kind of audition them and see if they fit. That one's a little too aggressive for me right now. I like that one. I don't know if I'm going to use it though. Check this one out. Cool, I like that one. I'm going to drag that into my project. I'm going to pull it all the way to the left. Nice, all right. So I kind of like this halftime feel that I'm starting to build here. But right now, I kind of feel like the synth that I pulled in was a little loud. So I'm going to drag this over from the left, and I'm actually going to pull the volume down a little bit. Let's see how this sounds. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. A little mixing trick for you is maybe try out whenever you're trying to adjust volumes, bring the instrument in question all the way down, and then bring it up until you feel like it's sitting in the spot that you need it. Whoa. It takes a little bit of the guess and check out of the process. If you wanted to change the tempo, just know that at the top right corner you have the gear, which you can change many of the settings. For example, tempo's here. You can even tap the tempo. As long as you get 4 taps in a row, it will set a new tempo based on what you input with your finger. And you can change things like the key signature. For example, if I were to hit play and change the key, take a listen. And that's kind of the beauty of the Apple loops. They're really easy to manipulate and change depending on tempo and key for what you want out of your project. If you feel inclined to add other instruments or record into GarageBand, that's definitely an option. For the scope of this project, I may not actually go too far in depth with that, but if you'd like to explore it, I'll show you where to access it. If you want to add another instrument, you can hit the plus sign in the bottom left corner and browse through the different options. There's a lot going on here, and there are smart instruments where you can actually have a lot of the performance elements already set up for you, and you can choose chords and create progressions that way. Using the autoplay functions, you kind of have manipulatable Apple loops that are based on the smart instrument that you've got selected. If you want to go a little deeper with that, you can actually change the chords versus notes. If you're familiar with a fretboard or a fingerboard on string instruments, that's something that you could try out. And you can actually change chords using the settings function up at the top right corner if you're looking to do things with more extensions like jazz chords, etc. If you're looking to record directly into your iPad, maybe playing your instrument or singing, you hit the microphone at the top left corner or select audio recorder under the instrument wheel when you add a new track. From here you can do a couple things. If you're wearing headphones, you can check out the level that is coming in and also adjust the ability to monitor or hear what you're recording as you do it. And that would be down at the bottom right corner. Because I don't have any headphones in, that's not giving me the option to do so. You can change different effects on voices and instruments that you're recording. If you want to change the pitch or filters or different plugins like delay or echo, that could be a cool way to add a little bit of character or uniqueness to what you're recording. From there are some other options like adding in compression or changing the tone quality a little bit. Without getting too far into the details of all of that, I think more than anything, it's worthwhile to try to experiment if you'd like to actually record. I will say, if you do plan on recording, you do need to have headphones in so the metronome or the backing track doesn't show up in the audio file that you create. When you're feeling good about what you've put into this section of your song, you can hit the plus sign at the top right corner and add more measures to your project. Currently we are in section A, and if you look at the ruler at the top, you'll see that it's 8 measures. I can add a new section by simply tapping add, and when I do so, there's going to be a new section that's completely blank. This would be my opportunity to record a new beat or put new Apple loops in or record anything I'd like into these 8 measures. It's important to note that if, for example, I didn't want my second section to be 8 measures, all I need to do is click on the little I next to 8 bars, and I can manually adjust how many measures that section is. So if I decided the next section of my song should be a little shorter, I can make it 4. And you'll see that the ruler at the top changes accordingly. Once you've inputted a new section with a new beat and some new Apple loops or new instruments, you can listen back, hit play. But you'll notice that it only loops this section. If you want to hear everything that you have in your project, hit the plus sign at the top right corner and then select all sections. From here, you can follow along in the ruler at the top and actually move across all of the measures that you've inputted into your project so far. So, for example, I can hit play at the very beginning and it will flow right through into my second section. If I wanted my song to finish with the same section that I started with, I could very easily hit the plus sign at the top right corner, highlight section A, and then select duplicate. From here, my project will have bookends that start and end in the same way and have a middle development section. And again, I can use the playhead at the top to move across the ruler and check out different moments in my project. Once you have a general structure for your song and you have most of the parts recorded and inputted, one thing that you can check out is the effects tool up at the top, and you can apply some remix functions that can add a little bit of flair to your composition. So over on the left we have an EQ filter. Sounds like things can go kind of underwater. Check it out. Really common in music production. Over here on the right we have a repeater. Another one that's used commonly before big bass drops. You can actually change the effect that you have set on these two performance slots to be things like reverb and orbit, and I'll spare you the time. You could check it out if you'd like. It's kind of cool though. You can set the function to be modified by the tilt of the iPad if you select the icon on the right corner, and that can be a neat way to add a tactile way to mix your music. But for now I'm going to leave filter and repeater on there. There is some other functions like a bit crush that you can check out. Again, sometimes this stuff works a little bit better through application rather than just simple instructions. But check it out. I'm going to record a set of effects to my track now. So that helped out my drop a little bit by giving some variance to this very repetitive beat. If you've established everything that you want to incorporate in your project and you'd like to share it to me or a friend or a family member, all you need to do is click on the File menu, again up at the top left corner, a little blank page. It will save the project. You can hold your finger down on the icon, and then from there you can share the file. If you're trying to share this as a project that you can listen to on other devices, you would want to select Song. And usually the uncompressed WAV file is the best option. Hit share, and then you have a variety of options. Email could be one. You can AirDrop it, or if you have a SoundCloud account connected to the device that you're creating on, you can directly upload even there. So I know that this has been a pretty long video already, but to be honest with you, I kind of barely scratched the surface with what this software can do. And I do hope it gave you a general overview of how to use the software and be successful. And more than anything, gives you a launching pad to try things out on your own and explore. And if you don't know what a button does, it's not going to hurt to click it and see what happens, right? So be curious and try to think outside the box and find a way for your own uniqueness and creativity to shine through what you put together. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. This is something I love to talk about, and even though this video is not as interactive, I think it's one of the best ways for you to ensure that you can go back and listen to something I said or watch what I tap into the program to get different results. So don't hesitate to reach out. I'm really excited to see what everyone puts together, and get to it.